Our next presentation will be hosted by Mike and our friends from E.O. Johnson.
Can you hear me okay? All right, so I'm here to introduce E.O. Johnson and talk a little bit about what we're planning. We're actually working and partnering with them to roll out a new value-added service. So much like the self-checks, we would have a print copier value-add service that you could sign up through SELCO. All the billing, payments, all that stuff would be done through SELCO, and we would, of course, work with E.O. Johnson on your behalf. So I will let them introduce themselves. And we do have a beta library testing this. Monica from Chatfield is already testing this out for us. So we might ask her a couple of questions later.
Thanks, Mike. My name is Pat McCabe, and this is Eric L. We're from E.O. Johnson, as Mike said. Our office is here in Rochester. A number of you work with us today, and we thank you for that. And for those of you who don't know who we are, we'll just go through a couple quick things and then kind of get into the program a little bit as well. So who are we? We are a family-owned company. We're founded in the 1950s by a gentleman named Emery O. Johnson, which is where the EO comes from, and his daughter owns and runs the company today. We also have offices in La Crosse, Eau Claire, Wausau, Minneapolis, and Cedar Falls, Iowa. And in addition to copiers, we do IT, we do document management, among some other things as well. And why use SELCO for your copier? Like Mike said, everything's taken care of for you. The bidding process, we went through that with SELCO. We've got a couple different options, so this isn't a one-size-fits-all type of a program. We do have a couple different models for you, speeds, sizes, color, black and white, that type of thing. Everything's going to run smoothly. The same way you get support for computers, you would get your support for the copier as well. A little bit more about our local office. We have 8 copier technicians, 6 of which start their day here in town. Another one is in Rushford, and the other one is in Medford near Owatonna. So we've got a pretty good coverage for the whole geography in terms of getting somebody to your library and fixing anything that might be going wrong. The last bullet I'm going to talk about is kind of how the whole relationship came to be. We offer a mobile printing solution for your patrons, and Eric's going to tell you a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so we've worked with a bunch of the libraries for years now. We've known Mike for a while now, so we had sat down with Mike and kind of discussed how things were going SELCO-wide, I guess, with copiers and printers. And one thing he had asked is if we had a mobile printing solution for the patrons to print using laptops, tablets, and cell phones without having to be on SELCO's own networks where the copiers were. Yeah.
And the reason for that is, for those of you who may not have mobile printing, is the wireless network that the public uses is actually separated from your regular LAN network, which is where the printer resides. So that's where being able to do like Apple AirPrint and stuff becomes complicated. And we do that on purpose. Tom does a really good job of that, because all that traffic of who knows what they're running on their laptops is not touching your LAN network. So we do it for a very big security reason. So I just wanted to touch base. So the trick was finding something that could bridge the networks.
Yep, so we went back and we did some research, and we came up with a good solution that would work for every library to allow their patrons to print to the copiers, which also provided Mike with a way to limit the variety of machines that were out in the field that he had to kind of manage on the networks. And then also it could help eliminate the need to add printers just for the mobile printing piece. So the way that it works is patrons will actually email their documents, whether it's a web page or a Word document, Excel file, whatever it is that they want to print. They actually email that to one specific email that is a cloud-based email. So they email their documents to the cloud or to this email address. They receive a reply email from that address saying, here are your release codes So it's just like 6-digit numbers that come back. They go up to the copier, they open up this print cloud button on the copier and type in the release code that was sent to them in the email, and it prints out their documents right there. So this allows them they don't even have to really be in the library to do this. They could do this from home, send the email with the documents that they want, get the release codes, go to the library, and hopefully one day they could go to any library in the SELCO system if everybody had this and print their document at that copier. This way, it allows patrons who have a laptop, if they're on your guest network, to print. It also allows people with their iPhones, iPads, and Android devices to print both on your guest network and if they're just using like their 4G wireless access. So kind of the best of every world. They don't have to be on your network. They can be on your guest network. They can just be using their 4G access and print from anywhere. So it's kind of a good blend of everything to make it work well for patrons and for SELCO and each individual library.
Are there any questions?
Yeah.
It's exciting stuff. It's copiers. It's printing.
So I do want to talk a little bit about the mobile printing, because at some of your libraries we have, and I can see a few of you, we've done the HPE print as a kind of a quick, cheap solution for this. And what's superior in this solution is the fact that with HPE print, it's kind of on or off. There's no barrier when the patron emails you. The printer's stupid. It gets an email, it spits it out. What's nice with this solution is it doesn't do that. The patron actually gets a code that they actually have to physically go and type in. So it prevents that kind of security measure. And the print jobs actually last, I think, a week in the cloud before they get dissipated. So even if, say, you're at home, because I know some of you work from home, say you're working from home and you need to print something out, this would be a great way to do it if you wanted to pick it up in the library the next day. And of course, question?
Just a little clarification. So that release code comes to you.
Mm-hmm.
How do you know which copier to take it to?
Bonnie asked, when you get the release code, how do you know which copier you need to take it to? That's what's kind of awesome with this solution, is because it's cloud-based. If they email the copier, you would be promoting at your library, so one would assume they would go to your library. But it is a cloud-based solution, so as more sites get involved, actually sign up for this with the mobile printing, it necessarily wouldn't matter. If they were one of your patrons and they printed it, they saw it at your library and they sent it and they were in Chatfield, and I'm going to pick on Monica because she already has this, say they were in Chatfield, they'd actually be able to go to Chatfield and release the code. So it's actually kind of a cool cloud-based system. And like I said, we're working with the new value-add contract. We're hoping we'll have that available in July. What's nice with that is all the cost for everything is going to be wrapped up into one per-page fee.
Yep.
Yes?
But you have to use one of these copiers for it to work.
Yes, because the software requires specific models. That's why they were talking about we've limited down to a couple hardware choices based on your usage. And we can ask Monica, how are things going with it?
Like I keep telling Mike, it's running really smoothly. I don't even know how often it gets used because nobody's really having any problems with it. So, when I see someone at the copier, I don't know if they're making in their code. What I really like about it is that it works with any device. You don't have to download any apps. It's just if you have email, you can do it. And that code comes back to you in less than 60 seconds, so it's not like you have to wait around for it. And when you get the code back, it's actually going to give you a code for, if you wanted to print the body of your email, it will give you a code for that, and it will give you a code for each of your attachments.
So as Monica pointed out, when you get the email back, you get a code for each thing. So if you wanted to print out just the Word document, not the whole email, you have that choice. But otherwise, it's going well.
Yeah,
So far.
Right on the copier, it has, on the home screen, it has a print cloud button.
Yep.
So if you were somewhere and you saw that, I can do that here.
Cool. And we have a question from Jake from.
How do we shake them down for payment with that? Is it like the Jam-X, you put your change in and then it releases, or is it, do we have to shake them down at the point of service?
You might have to shake it down at point of service. We haven't, because Monica doesn't have the Jam-X system like you do, we'd have to look at how to integrate that. But I think we could. James.
With our copier, in order to print color, you have to put in a code for the color. So if you're like printing from your phone, how do you put in the code for the color?
So James asked, because at their library they have a code for color, and he's wondering how you could do that with the mobile printing.
Sure. I think what we'd have to look at if you have some specific software on yours, but if we introduced this solution, we may have to even just put on the sign or the sticker or whatever, patrons are going to be responsible for the cost you incur with printing. Here's your charge for a black and white page. Here's your charge for a color page. We can lock down the copying. So think of copying separately from this mobile printing, as well as any other printing that's done on the network. I mean, that doesn't go away here if that's something that you have today. This is just the mobile printing is an additional feature. So I don't know that we can lock down color or lock down printing at all, other than just not allowing access to the machine, which is obviously something that you don't want necessarily to do. So it's something we could sit down with you if you'd like.
What type of machines do you use?
We have the Lanier machine, which is a Ricoh product. It's the exact same machine. And we also have a Samsung model as well. So.
Oh, sorry, Alice.
Do the codes, are they associated with a number of pages so that you can tell, okay, well, this attachment had 5 pages, and that is an indicator of what you're about to print?
It comes with a thumbnail of it comes with a thumbnail of the document. So when you get that reply email, it'll show you, here's your release code for the body of your email, and it'll have a little thumbnail picture of it. So it doesn't, I don't think, specifically say the number of pages that are in there, but it does show you what it is, and it's named like .docx for your Word document. So it tells you that it's the Word doc that release code is assigned to. I don't believe it says pages on there.
I think it might, Eric.
It might.
On the cheat sheet that I have, in the whole thumbnail, it says page 1 of 1.
Okay, so maybe it does. Okay. Yeah.
I'm currently under contract with E.O. Johnson, so I'm just wondering do I have to wait till my contract's up, that 5-year contract, before going with SELCO, or
Sure.
do I have to wait? Or?
So a lot of people are going to be at different points in their contracts. If they're leasing equipment from us or from another vendor, and then they're also going to be in the middle of probably their service contracts with us or another vendor. So that's kind of stuff that we would talk about with each library individually, because it is going to be different with different ways of, if you wanted to get out of it and you wanted to go to this program, how we could make that work. But it would be kind of on a library by library basis, something we would talk about with you.
I think if you have something with us, we can certainly work with you if this is something you're interested in. It'd be obviously easier to work our contract than someone else's, but happy to have that discussion with anybody.
And of course, the other thing to point out is, because this is a SELCO value-added service, any issues with printer and stuff, you would call the help desk.
Yep.
And then we would determine if it's a hardware issue or something, then we would contact E.O. Johnson. So you wouldn't have to it would eliminate the need to keep multiple help desk numbers.
Yep. So that was another thing that you had asked about was Mike would get calls from us or from other vendors saying, oh, it's a network issue that we're running into, or we would get calls and we would send a technician out to service your copier because it's not working, and we would find that it was a network issue when we got there. You've been down maybe for an hour or two where you can't print, and it's just kind of becomes a jumbled mess at that point of, we're way behind now, we're trying to get people up and running, and now we're trying to work with Mike. With this system, your first line of support would be to go to IT here at SELCO. Hey, we're having this issue, we can't print. Well, he can at least troubleshoot and find if it is something network related. He can take care of it right away. 5 minutes later, you're up and printing. If he does find that it's not a network issue and it's a hardware issue and the call needs to essentially escalate to E.O. Johnson, then we would roll a truck and come and fix your copier then. So it makes it a little bit easier to get service done as well. Gives us less headaches for Mike as well, and obviously for the library and patrons. So
that's what I'm trying to understand from an administrative standpoint. Are we talking about just the mobile printing piece, or are we talking about now running contract negotiations through SELCO?
This actually would be, like I said, it's a new value add service from SELCO. So you would basically sign up for the value add service. It kind of mirrors the self-check, for those of you who have the Centex self-checks, and everything would go through SELCO.
So that includes printouts?
That includes printouts and everything. So,
Photocopies?
yep. And these printers are capable of doing all of that, the scan the folder, scan the email, and printouts. But yes, this wouldn't be just the mobile printing piece, because the mobile printing is attached to the specific hardware. It is a whole value add service. You would have to get a whole copier printer through, it would go through SELCO. Pat?
Okay, so if you determine that the problem with copier is an E.O. Johnson problem, and you contact them, how long is it going to be before somebody's going to
And Pat asked a good question. If you call us and we do determine it's a hardware E.O. Johnson issue, how long is that? How long is the response time on that?
Sure. From the time we get the call from Mike or someone else in the group, we'll have somebody on site within 4 business hours. That's like a guarantee. And then as right now within the geography, we're running at about 2.5 hour response time. So
average.
An average, right.
So across our 9-county area here in southeast Minnesota, 2.5 hours is our average.
What are your 9 counties?
That's a test.
Because we have 11, so.
Yeah. So,
okay.
Well, and the 9 that we cover in Rochester, the 2 that we might be missing are probably covered by our La Crosse office. So
yep.
As a company, we're in Houston, Winona, Fillmore, Mauer, Freeborn, Olmsted, Dodge, Steele, Goodhue,
yep.
Rice, and what am I missing up north? Help me out. Wabasha, thank you.
So all of those counties are covered, not necessarily by the Rochester office.
So
True. Yep.
And if anybody was outside of that, we can still service that. But that 9-county area is kind of, I guess, where I would travel to myself. But we can go outside of that. We do it for customers. So.
Any other questions? All right, so like I said, this is a new value add service. We're hoping to have contracts out July. So keep an eye on that.
We'll leave a few cards if folks want to just do one-on-one questions. Maybe we'll leave them by the bagels. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.